Hello, amazing artists. Today we're going to be putting together the buildings for our superhero cityscape. So you're going to need some strips. I would say between 5 and 10 strips. It doesn't really matter, but that's kind of the minimum and maximum I would go for, between 5 and 10 strips. And you are going to use a Sharpie and a ruler if you need it to create your buildings. And you can see that with the one that I started with, I used the ruler to create the top of a building that I will eventually cut off, and then I freehanded some squares. But on this next one, I'm going to be using the ruler to create the squares. So you've got lots of different ways that you can approach creating your buildings. But for the most part, your buildings are going to need to have a top, which that one I just had a square top, but you can also create a top. You can do like I did on the first one and just like start to create a top, or like on this one, I created a flat top and then I'm adding something to the top of that. So you've got some options for how you can do it. And in this video, like I said, I'm just creating the, a lot of different ways to do it. You don't have to do it any of the ways that I'm doing it, but you're going to get these strips and they are going to be what form your buildings. So however you want to do those, you're going to section them off by creating windows with lines. And when you're finished creating all of your lines and your tops for your buildings, you're going to cut off the tops of the buildings like you can see I'm doing here. You want to be really careful that you are just cutting right along the black lines that you created, and you're cutting nice and smooth so you don't have any jagged lines. And you're going to go through and you're going to cut all of the little bits off that create your buildings. You can see with my yellow building, I didn't create a interesting looking top for that, so I just set it off to the side and moved on to another one that I did create an interesting top for. And when you're done cutting off all of the tops, then you're going to take your Sharpie again and you are going to just outline the edges of your buildings so that they have a black outline around the whole thing. Now you're not going to have to outline all of your edges because some of your edges already had black on them and you cut along them, but if you notice that your cutting was a little bit, see, I'm checking it with this white paper to make sure that it looks good. If you notice that your cutting left a little bit of colorful paper on the other side of your black line, instead of trying to cut right up against your black line, you can just go back over it with the Sharpie to just fill in black. So I'm going along all my edges. I'm going back over any areas that I may have maybe messed up cutting a little bit. And I'm just making sure that my buildings are outlined in black all the way. And this is it. This is all you're doing today. You're going to put them in your sketchbook when you're done.